Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 22 of Untapped. Excited to be here today. We know Levi's got back his new puppy, Loki. And how much has that guy grown? You haven't seen him for 10 days. How much did he grow?
He'd probably gain like 8 pounds in 10 days. And he was only 16 pounds, so a third of his body weight, probably,
That's
which
crazy.
is
Yeah, just in
crazy.
the pictures I've seen, he looks like completely different. He's huge already.
He's tall, though. He grew up, not wide. Like,
Yeah.
his paws are massive. Like, he's going to be probably 100 pounds, so
Woo!
he'll be growing for probably the next year.
Do you get
How do
little
you
buds?
transport him on a plane? What do you do? Do you throw him in a cage? How does that work?
So he was small enough on the way there to fly in the cabin.
Oh, true.
Nice.
On the way back, he was a little bit too big, but they luckily let him on, so. But that'll probably be his last flight. We're gonna try to get him service dogged, so then he'll be able to fly in the cabin. But for now, that'll be no flying for Floki because you can put him underneath the plane, but we don't want to because Taya, I guess, has heard some horror stories about them being under the plane.
Oof, I
I
bet.
like that sketches me out.
Yeah, because they lose the dogs just like luggage. So,
Oh,
yeah,
what?
supposedly, I don't know for sure, but I guess they have. And then your dog is stuck under there, so we don't want to do that.
Is he in a carrier then?
Yeah, but we should like he's in a carrier through the airport, and then once they set like once you can get laptops and stuff out, then you can get him out of the carrier.
Oh, I got you. How do you
But
get him to
he
stop
mostly just
peeing and things like that?
he sleeps like in the plane or in the car. He'll sleep for like 5, 6 hours, and Taya
Oh,
said he slept the entire time
he's
on
growing
the plane
still.
as well.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
he goes for like an hour, and then he sleeps for like five. Then he goes again for an hour, sleeps for five. It's like a baby.
Jeez.
Yep. What you guys got going on?
Dana looks like Dana's at his office today, right?
Yeah, I stayed to work a little bit later. We're all backed up and stuff from the weekend. We always get a bunch of orders. But my dad's coming in on Wednesday, so I'm gonna get to see him.
Oh, fire.
And then we're going to Sedona on Friday to Sunday. So
Nice.
go stay out there. I'm really excited to see him though. So hopefully I'll get to meet him, Kyle.
Oh, 100%. We might have to swing up to Sedona if we can.
Hey,
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, come up. It's what, dude, it's supposed to be perfect. Every time my family comes, the weather's like perfect for them. I think it's Sedona. It's gonna be like 85 every day we're there. And some,
Man, oh man.
yeah.
Kyle, what you got going on?
Me, man, I've been battling lately. I always
Yeah.
it sounds like, huh? We got that damn tumor. Dana was saying I look like who was it?
Laird Hamilton, you got
Yeah,
no.
Laird Hamilton. I got a little, this thing has been growing like a mofo. It is I've been at this 11, 12, 11 years now, probably. This is a tumor pain is all kind of similar. I've probably had this level of tumor pain maybe 4 or 5 times, but it's definitely this is the fastest growth I've ever had. So we hit it with a chemo last week. I think day 3 into the chemo, it's pretty much every day it's grown a little bit more. So it went from just kind of a scattering of 1 inch tumors are in the lymph nodes, and then now it's just kind of one mass, and it's gone up in my ear. It's into the
Mm,
throat, and it kind of waxes and wanes sometimes. But man, it's hard not to think about it. It's hard, I got to really be on top of things. So when it gets like this, I got maybe 2 3 hours in the day where I can get things done. Like I can kind of work up, take my meds so I can hit the sweet spot, and I can be up and talking and things like that. But I have to be real careful because if I get ahead of myself, then I'd slide back fast. And this thing is just won't be able to fight.
right.
So the plan is tomorrow I meet with my doctor. We've been holding on as long as we can because we're in a tough spot right now. We're a little concerned that trial I did, the T cell one, might be messing with things. I've got a lot of complexities going on with the body. We've got the allogeneic transplant. I think I said it on here. I've had uh, 7 progressions of disease since allogeneic transplant for lymphoma, I don't know anybody, there's no known person that's even made it. I think two failed progressions, 2 or 3 failed progressions after an Alo. So we're in uncharted territory. Pretty now I'm kind of regretting we did that trial. I didn't think about but we try to do what we could do best. Anyways, the we hit it with that chemo and it was weird. I felt really good. I had a relief from my cancer symptoms, the fevers, dizziness, night sweats, and just a real deep cancer fatigue. That was almost immediately relieved. So that's been great. But this started growing. So we're gonna try to come up with a plan tomorrow. It spread so much and so fast. We might be able to hit it with radiation, but we're entering into some real sketchy places when it gets up, starting to pass, when it gets up into your brain and things like that. It's been kind of tough on RS, so there's been some rough moments because she's been in it long enough to know this is a definitely, I've had to spend some time writing up plans because business is just crazy exciting right now. There's just like we talked about a little last week, it just keeps getting better and better. So I'm just putting some directions because we gotta face that this could be the last stretch. We stay out of the hospital because if I go into the hospital, I tend to go downhill faster. And then there's not a lot they could do right now. We were kind of hoping that the chemo there's a lot of things that are involved, might just kind of work its way through it. For the pain, I take kratom. If I get into if I start getting into other things, oxy and things like that, I've been at this a long time. It's pretty hard on my body. But anyways, I rambled on for a minute. That's
and that's the same exact spot that they went in and did like a test on.
Yeah, well, we had a real tough thing going on in here, in this area, and near the collarbone, and they alleviated some pain there. We had a tumor that was pressing on a nerve there. That was actually, compared to this, that was a little rough. It was definitely some pain, but it was one spot. So they were able to kind of alleviate that. They took out to test to make sure that what it was. This one has just exploded. It's like many lymph nodes in there. It's probably the size of a baseball. It's like this in here.
What does it feel? Is there anything like not related to cancer that you could describe
Yeah,
that it feels like?
yeah. Let's see. Man, I've been at, so if I it's really weird because I wanted to get into trials and things like that. I know, everybody goes through trials, see whatever we want to talk about in that area. But I think that when I started the first couple of years, I was blessed. I didn't really get crazy tumor pain. As time went on, I started to get that. But it's like a lot of stuff. You start to get used to it, and it feels like, let's see here, what would it feel like? I can't really, you can take pain meds, but it doesn't, when that nerve is pressed on, they say that about tumor pain is nothing really alleviates it. So it's kind of like it's an ache. It depends where it is too. There's a lot of stuff going on. Now, when I had just one lymph node, it was kind of a nervy, knifey type of feeling. This one is more of a deep ache. There's a lot of pressure going on into my head and
Yeah.
into my ear. So it's kind of a confusing, there's pain, there's just a lot of intense pain coming from the inside. So it's nothing like I had before. If I had really bad headaches or I was recovering from some kind of bad injury or anything like that, it's a little different. Maybe coming back from surgery, and if you don't take your meds or something and you get that kind of crazy pain, but there's a different, you can tell it's something else, you know what I mean?
Right. There's something in there that shouldn't be.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
My mom had, I think it was ovarian cancer
Oh,
or maybe
wow.
like but they caught it super early. But
Yeah.
the doctor had told her like, hey, don't like we don't need to have surgery, whatever. And my mom told my dad like we need like there's something in me that's not supposed to be in me.
Oh,
And they went in and then they were like, oh, good thing we went in. So it's crazy how your body like tells you like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but there's something going on in there.
Man, it's really tough because that's a really good example of something is as a doctor, you get people that come in and they're hypochondriacs or they're victim mentalities and they think everything's wrong with them. And the doctor gets I mean, imagine you get 60-70% of your patients like that. And on the other hand, you have honest people, you have tough people like your mom that know they're not going to make something up. They're not going to just try to be, you know what I mean? It's a real thing where the doctor needs to listen to that person, and it makes the whole system of healthcare and medical
Right.
really difficult. And I feel like it's gotten more and more difficult. Even when I go into the ER, it takes my doctors talking to the doctors in the ER or at the general oncology level, sometimes multiple times to let them know what's going on, that this is legit thing, because sometimes they're like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's the same thing with like baseball. When guys get hurt in baseball, they don't know what to think because some guys maybe like being hurt because you're like if you're here or you'd rather be in Scottsdale and you don't really care about getting to the big leagues, maybe guys would rather be in Scottsdale, so they'll act like they're hurt or whatever, or at least medical thinks that. But then there's also the guys that are actually hurt, but they don't take serious because there's 60% of the guys that aren't really hurt, they're just in a little bit of pain, which is like just part of being an athlete.
It's tough too because I've noticed some people, I don't know what the reason is, they have a really low pain tolerance. So that
Yeah.
a pain to one person is really causing crazy stress in their body and their mind and stuff like that. And then another person, because I was thinking, man, wouldn't it be cool if there was some kind of lie detector test or a health meter that really showed like how
Yeah.
serious it was?
Yeah. You see it with pitchers all the time, like complaining. There's
Wow.
guys even on the team now, it's like they complain about their arm every single day. So you don't know, like, is their arm actually hurting or is it this just kind of them? Like they're just always saying something that's, you know what I mean?
Right. That's so frustrating because I feel like that happens a lot. Of been in some, we're not picking on any single gym. It seems like it's across the board with something like jujitsu is you get like 75% of the guys in the gym. Maybe you got 20% that are just always complaining. If you walk up to them, they're going to be complaining about some sort of energy.
Right.
But then you got a group of people that are trying to use it as an excuse, like, well, that's why I'm not doing as good because there's all those layers. It's almost like, man, and then maybe there's a guy in there who is really hurt and he's like, hey, I don't know how to get out of this problem. I kind of think, now that I'm thinking out loud, it's like if a person asks like, hey, I've got this injury, what do you know about him, instead of saying, oh, I got this injury and it's causing me problems, and kind of complaining about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think some people, maybe this is, I don't know. I feel like some people think it's cool to just complain. It's like it's the cool thing, like, oh, we're just gonna say how shitty this is. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude. And then when you're around that, then that starts to weigh on you. I have to catch myself
Ooh,
because especially here, the sun's not shining a lot. Like we haven't
yes.
been playing that good, whatever. And then guys just complain, 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 and you catch yourself complaining. It's like, what the? Now I'm like putting fuel in the fire.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. That's a tough group to be around. Sometimes it's, and then if you try to be positive, then that person is kind of like, must be nice, or, that happens a lot. It's like, I don't want to bring up all the time because there's always something going on in my body. And it's not, people are, I got this going on. And sometimes it's hard not to think in your head, man, that's nothing, dude. That's like,
Right. Yeah.
and then you
I,
try to be positive and optimistic, kind of spread, hey, because it helps you feel better anyways. If you are suffering through something, to be positive and encouraging to somebody. But I've noticed in the wrong settings, it's almost like, man, I don't even want to be around that, because if those people are just gonna, drag me down that direction, it's time to try to find a different set of people, maybe.
right. Too. My thing is like, okay, if I know you and we're pretty close and you just kind of need somebody to talk to and rant to, that's one thing.
Yeah, there you go. Good call.
But if I don't know you that well and the first thing you say is, "Oh, this is shitty" or whatever, then I'm already like, this dude's negative. I'm not gonna hang out with him that much, you know?
Oh man, I think we've talked about this one. It leads me into something it's on my mind a lot, and we talked about it before. Is man, I struggle with it. It seems like anytime I put out there, I'm struggling because I want to share my story and encourage, and it's helped a lot too. If I'm going through a problem and it's like getting real deep and I ask for prayer, it's been a miracle that it's helped
Yeah.
so much, just releasing out without going into that. It's kind of a downer, but anytime I do that, and it's not any one person. It's been this way for a long time. I get advice. I get like, oh, you need to do this, and I feel like it's very similar for sports. I can't think of a more specialized sport where like where I am, it's thousands of hours that went into the point where I can sit here and talk like this with this huge collection of tumors going all over the place. It took me so much work and so much pain and so much sweat and trial. Same in baseball. Like it, somebody's like, well, he just needs to adjust this or something like that. And they don't know
Right.
thousands of hours and pain and things that you went through, and they want to give advice. So I was kind of like thinking of some criteria. Sometimes people want to help or whatever, but like for somebody so that they know rather than just giving advice, how to tell like, okay, is this a time I should give advice? Or I was coming up with something like, for example, maybe before you start giving advice, maybe ask that person if they want advice.
Right. Too, and if somebody doesn't know, like for me, I don't really know that much about cancer. And if we're gonna go back and forth and talk about cancer, and I'm gonna act like I know it, eventually, because you know
Ooh,
what
yeah,
it is, you're gonna be like, dude, this dude, I don't think that he knows what he's talking about. It's
yeah,
the same thing with baseball. Like some of these guys want to talk pitching mechanics or lifting or whatever. And a lot of the times I've read a lot of books about kind of just playing chess behind the scenes. And a lot of times I'll play dumb just to because if you play dumb, then people would just reveal themselves. If you act like you don't know, then they'll just tell you, tell you, tell you, tell you, tell you. And then you can kind of look back and say, okay, he knows what he's talking about, or maybe he doesn't. But I feel like every time I've always just tried to prove a point like, hey, I know what I'm talking about, then like that person, it's harder for them to reveal their self. If I just stay quiet and let them kind of talk at first, and then I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like
or just play
I
along
think,
with it, like, oh yeah, I agree, that sounds really good, and let them just carry on with
yeah, I think it was the Daily Stoic even today was talking about, or maybe not today, a couple days ago, just basically playing dumb to get people to reveal themselves.
like that. That's good. How do the other part is once they do reveal themselves, if you're kind of stuck, you have to be around them. Maybe you gotta, be on the same team or in the same business or something. Then you gotta deal with that person who now they want to just give you. It's out of a lot of times it's out of a good intention. They're not trying to be jerks or like, hey, I want to help this guy. I think I know more than this person without even. And then you try to tell them, hey, drop little hints like, hey, I kind of know what I'm doing, Joe, I'm the best in the world at this or something. That person just doesn't seem to get it. They got it made up in their mind that this is the way it should be, and they just want to.
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough to get. I'm trying to think what I do in that situation. Like, what do I do to get around it? I think, I mean,
Struggle with those a lot. I struggle with those a lot. I'll like be really quiet, and then one day they like cross the line with like over talking to me, and I like get a bit of an attitude, and then have to go home and sort that out because I'm just like, damn, why did I like react like that? Like, but
I
normally
feel
I try to just be like, I don't think that's what I'm trying to do, right? Like, that might be right, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do something else.
that's
Or
good.
that's maybe that the cue you're saying that doesn't work for me. I've already tried that.
Yeah,
Because sometimes people will be talking about the same thing, but they use different cues.
oh, for
So
sure.
like, especially with pitching, everybody says like these certain things that could mean a million different things, but it's like the cue. You might be saying use your full foot to like push off, but like for me, I need to think you just use my heel because I'm already like toe dominant. That's a little, I'm getting deep into the pitching,
no, that
but
makes sense.
that's
And
just an example. Like
yeah,
when I push off, I like to go to my toe early, and ideally you would want to push off with your entire foot.
right.
But for me, if I think entire foot, I'm just going to go to my toes early. I have to think heel and then that'll keep me back longer.
Yeah, that's see, that shows you how much there's so much variables and so many details that you put so much time into that, getting input from people over the years, learning to get even to that level to even know what that is. And that's been, you know, that's been the thing to you. That shows you like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the same exact thing with you with the cancer situation. And then it's almost like you want to give it back, but then people, I don't know. Then a lot of people, they think they know. It's just a whole cycle. It's like the people that act like they know typically don't, and the people that act like they don't know typically do.
It's
Because it's like the ego wants you, like for me when I was insecure about things, I would always want to act like I was extra secure in those things. And the things that I'm not insecure about, I don't have to act extra secure because I already know. I don't really care if you think, I don't care what you think about it because I already know what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I look at Sugars. I like to sometimes and go into the comments like under his, you know, he's talking about something, or people always have input and advice, like the couch potato, the quarterback couch or whatever it is, advice to give on there. And it's like I'm reading through those, and it just amazes me how many people in there want to throw out advice that they really believe in their heads, that they know exactly what somebody like Sugar needs. And these people, there's no way to change it unless you brought them into the octagon and made them actually fight and experience it, and it put in some time and effort. There's some people, there's just no way they're not going to change. They're going to be stuck in that level.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that's a good, you have to get him in the element. I think there was it's called Momentum. It's like a baseball, like, how would you say it? It's like a baseball media page, kind of. And they brought in just a regular fan and had him hit. And they videoed it and posted it on YouTube. The same thing as like a guy talking shit to a fighter and then they make him come spar.
I'm thinking now, Sugar he's gonna. I really like this guy. Sono. I think you guys have seen him in the joke. He's such a good dude, and he's getting good in jiu-jitsu. He trains hard, and he's gonna. I'm not sure all the reasons or what went into it or whatever, but I'm kind of excited to see it, as Sugar's gonna spar him, kind of like he did, I think, a couple of years ago with another Jobin War, like, or so was that's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's gonna do, I think, 3 2-minute rounds or something like that. And I think, man, that's a good move by Sugar, because people don't. It'd be like Levi pitching to somebody who kind of maybe messes around with baseball or played in high school. It shows people, then it shows the fan base. Hey man, not everybody can do this. There's skill levels to this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think hitting a base, fighting's the same though. I feel like all sports are kind of the same. Each
Yeah.
sport tries to act like one is a little bit, but shit, they're all hard.
And I know Dana kind of touched on this and we've talked about it, but man, I can't even imagine with music. That's like,
Oh, dude,
oh man.
that's like the biggest advice anybody will give you in the scene is to get advice on your music, to get feedback. And it's super tough because you never want to backtrack and act like I personally, I don't want to send something to somebody for feedback and then like downplay the track and be like, yeah, well, this is just a rough copy, or this is just a rough draft, or anything like that, in case they, say they don't like it, or say they don't like certain parts of it. But it's like sometimes I'm not looking for advice. Sometimes I'm just looking to send it out and just like, hey, this is a completed piece of work, and then all of a sudden I get a message back and they're like, hey, the I love everything. Everything's great. You should really look into like
God.
the way the kick and the bass sound together. And I'm like, dude, they sound that way for a reason. I didn't like. I already know how it sounds.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not looking
Yeah.
for advice.
There was I was listening, I think it was on Theo Vaughn's podcast with Caleb Presley.
Oh,
Caleb Presley was saying that Luke Combs was coming up and Caleb Presley had like $50,000 saved up and he wanted to invest in Luke Combs, and like, here, I'll give you $50,000 for maybe a couple percent of what you make later. And Luke sent him 3 songs, and they were all like top 10 hits. And Caleb was like saying, I don't know about that song. Like, and he didn't give him the money because he didn't like the songs or whatever. And then they ended up being like top 10 hits.
Yeah. Music is so like that's such a luck game on like what hits and what doesn't. I mean, all the tracks that hit on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that you'd never expect, you know.
But I've been thinking about the social media guys, like Steve will do it, Kyle and those guys. It's the same level of like expertise in that field as it is with sports.
For sure.
Like those dudes are in the big leagues of social media.
Definitely. That's in the hours they put in, the consistency over years doing that.
Right. You see it now that it's so massive, but like those dudes were driving shitty cars from Canada all the way to LA, sleeping in fans' houses and drink like staying up all night partying, and now it's a mega business, but it wasn't always that way.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. I'm trying to think what else I've been really, I think I'd sent it to Levi this week because it's just been on my heart all week long. Is this verse here from James 1? In this version, it's titled "Faith Under Pressure," and it says, "Consider it a sheer gift, friends, when tests and challenges come at you from all sides. You know that under pressure, your faith life is forced into the open and shows its true colors. So don't try to get out of anything prematurely. Let it do its work to become mature, well developed, not deficient in any way." That one I've been meditating on a lot. There's some like there's some parts in there. Consider it a sheer gift. That one is so hard, but then you attach it to don't try to get out of anything prematurely. So if you're in a trial, it's like this trial, if God is real and he has you in a trial and there's a purpose behind it. Like for example, at the beginning of my battle, I was being shaped for possibly for this time, because at the beginning of the cancer battle, I wouldn't have been able possibly to make it through this time right here. So I was being shaped and prepared, or I was really been meditating a lot this week when I first was, this is this TRC right now. We're doing really good in the first year and building business out of scratch, and had huge encouragement from both you guys, and especially Levi. Levi and Theo, we definitely wouldn't be at this point. Uh, the business, this is the third small business I've done. So the second business that I had launched was a satellite clinic in Sun City for exercise therapy and working with people with chronic pain. So that was really taking off. Careers taken off. I was working with pro athletes and agents and things like that, and the cancer hit, and so then it was like I try to get it going again, and then be in the hospital for months at a time and things like that. So it just kind of fell off. But going, and when I'm reaching this point right here and I started this business, I was like, oh man, I don't have the same amount of time that I did before cancer. Still, I have these barriers, but I kept being around the jiu-jitsu gym and like-minded people, are reading books like The Obstacle is the Way. Is, hey, this is the time to go for it right here. This is a bottomed out time. Nobody wanted to treat me. It was almost a desperation thing, and let's just go for it. And it turned into something where I have less windows of time than I did before to actually work on the business, but I'm able to squeeze so much more juice out of it. And I become so much stronger if I do get that window of time to focus my attention in there. And I think that I would have never been able to build a business in 1 year from scratch if I hadn't gone through this trial. So then you think, dang it, I'm in this right now. I got this, man, I want out of this so bad. And if I could just get out of this, I could do this and I could do that. And it's like being able to step back and try to see it as a gift, which is so hard in that trial.
Yeah, that is it's like every hard thing you go through is like shaping you and kind of sculpt. It's almost like pottery, like it's sculpting you into this thing. But a lot of times, at least for me, like you want to resist it, or like you want to try and get out of it as quickly as you can, and it's almost like pump the brakes. And because this is all this that's going on. Even like coming to Hillsboro, I did not want to like coming to high A after being in double A is not what I wanted to do, obviously. But after surgery and everything, I was kind of forced into that.
Yeah.
But just trusting like, okay, there's a reason why you're here right now and not there.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It's tough because it's sometimes so like when I was younger, I made and I still do it. I mean, I made especially with females, I had huge tragic flaws in that area. So the females in the early 20s, they would end up giving me a trial, and that I caused that trial myself. You know what I mean? And in that trial, it was like, okay, don't make that. I kind of deserve this. Don't make that mistake again. And those things are kind of tough. And then sometimes it's hard to tell what was this. Is this, did I get this because of a decisions I've made? Is it, you start to analyze. I start to think in my head, man, maybe I've just been pushing too much and not taking care of myself. Things like that go in your head, like when you're in the trial, kind of looking for a way out. And I think that it's sometimes it takes a lot of thought, reflection, input from people that you trust. For us, it's going to God and trying to connect with Him, looking at wisdom and what people have been through before in scriptures and things like that to try to figure out, hey, when should I really, change some things, because maybe this isn't a trial, maybe it was a bad decision. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's tough. I think about that a lot too. Like, yeah, is this happening for a
We're getting
reason
deep
or is it
today,
just
man. We're getting deep.
yeah. Like, is
Sorry,
this
it's the
happening
meds.
for a
I take
reason?
full responsibility.
No, you're good. Um, but I was thinking, yeah, I just dropped my phone. Is this happening for a reason or is this like God's plan kind of shifting it or both? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
or did I fuck up and made a mistake and now like I have to go through this as a like consequence?
And to see where my mistakes are. I'm constantly analyzing, like, I'm sure you guys do that too. And Levi in baseball, like, hey, maybe if I had done this, then you know what I mean? It's hard. But then we
Right.
want to get like, hey, now I'm here. Let's move forward and maybe think about that. It's like that rear view mirror thing, a small rear view mirror and a big front or whatever.
Right. When the things are tough, like that forces growth because that forces you to question things that you've done. Like if everything's going perfect, there's probably not much growth going to be happening because you're just going with the wave. Like, and that's great. When things are going good, ride the wave as long as you can, but just know that's gonna come to an end at some point. Because like I always say the quote, the purest thing in life is water. And even when water stands still, it grows algae and
Yeah.
it starts getting all this back. So it's the same thing. Like eventually, when you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, and you're staying still, like there's gonna be some bacteria and stuff grow, and then you're gonna have to reassess. It's just constant, which is cool. That to me, that's what makes life like enjoyable. There's gonna be if everything was perfect, life would be pretty boring.
That's true. That's true. Definitely. I think what I struggle with is, I got the family here, and they got the kids and the wife, and they're seeing like, oh shoot, is dad gonna be okay, sort of thing. So those sometimes you're in a trial yourself, and then sometimes I get focused on, and then it's like, hey, I got to make sure I'm making decisions to make sure that they're also going to be feeling good, that I'm remembering
Yeah.
their feelings, because sometimes when you're a trial, it's so much energy and so much stuff going on, and you're working so hard to grow or whatever, and analyze it, that then you miss out on maybe some people around you. At least that's sometimes I struggle with that.
Yeah. Gosh, I struggle with that so much. Just being away too. Like now I've been away for almost a year from my family, which sucks, but I mean, it's just part of it, you know.
Yeah.
At this point, I always think about that too, quick, because I moved away at 16, like sophomore year in high school. And then was so far away from my family and like some of that, maybe I don't regret it, but like there's a little bit of guilt, like
Yeah.
I'm so far away. But I feel like as long as I keep working as hard as I can, then like I'm not just putting this time to waste. Like it's, you know, I'm at least trying to make the most of it while I'm away from my family.
I think about Michael Jackson. He had that rough upbringing where he was basically abused to get to the level of entertainment that he got to at a young age, and to what he went through and suffered through brought out the one of the greatest entertainers in the history of the world. So it's like, if for greatness and to really be able to impact, you can't just have an easy ride ever. It's going to be some
Right.
suffering along the way.
Yeah, I don't think there's one superstar out there that talks about wow, things were just so easy, you know? It was just a piece of cake to get there. And even if their careers, like a lot of times I see guys, okay, maybe they're super successful in the sport or whatever, singing, this, that, and the other, but there's like other trials, just maybe not in the things that you see in the media. They might have family problems. Like everybody goes through something to some extent.
Or you get all that and you had an easy ride there, you were gifted very much, and then you're just discontent, and there's a drop of character, there's choices in
Right.
other areas. I'm real. One thing I know, man, this went by quick. Sorry, Dana. I mean, we're already into to past the little bit 30 minutes, but one thing I wanted to talk about today is the Davis Garcia fight. Were you guys able to watch that?
I saw the highlights. I was playing when it was going on, but I saw the highlights.
Yeah, I just watched the highlights too.
All right, on. Yeah, that fight was crazy to me because I really like I respect both guys, the skill level and all that kind of stuff. And something about Davis, I really like him. I don't know. I just like his vibe. And when they did their ring entrances, Garcia came out to a really cool, a pretty good worship song. He came out, in that, but something when he came out, I was kind of like, oh, he came out first, and I was like, well, this is awesome. He's walking out and strong in the spirit and stuff, but something didn't connect really. I wasn't quite couldn't put my finger on it. And then Davis comes out, and oh man, there's nothing to do with it. There wasn't a praise on or anything, but he comes out little baby. I don't know if you guys saw the entrance, and man, it was
Oh yeah, yeah.
something about the intensity and the authenticity and that everybody was here to watch an awesome fight, and he was there like the real deal for it. I was like, let's go.
I have a prediction I think they'll fight again, and I think it'll be Connor versus Floyd 2, and it'll be like Connor and Ryan versus Gervonta and Floyd, because I saw that Connor went into Ryan's locker room at the end, and then Gervonta was saying that I guess he has been talking to Floyd or whatever. I don't know how likely that is, but I was just
I
thinking
think
about
they
that.
need to. From what I like, both of them, I think they need it for their careers. And it sounds like Floyd is running. He's kind of running. He's low on money and things like that. The money train is kind of run out. So I think they're looking for that payday. But man, the way those two guys have been behaving lately, I don't know if it's going to sell as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're not as active as they used to be, or as big. I mean, they're still massive stars, but not like it used to be.
They might. I think they'll get biased. We'll see on the Ultimate Fighter, and if Connor, how he's looking in there. But from what I've seen, oh no, I'm more thinking like, hey, it's you guys had your time. What's coming up next? And I can't help but thinking of something like Davis versus a Sugar Sean. I think that's
Yeah.
that's a big interesting fight. Maybe I don't even know about mixing boxing and MMA. You got MMA guys going into boxing, and they're trying to work out the stuff, because at the end of the day, the sports are so very different, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely like MMA better. It just seems more not not that it's more real, but it's just yeah, I guess kind of more real. Like it's like a true there's no rules essentially. Like you can't there's a few rules, but boxing is just hands. Like MMA seems more like let's get in this cage and try to kill each other.
Oh yeah, I went on a dive looking at I loved how Davis in that fight. I don't know if you guys saw in the highlights. His strategy was to get inside as he'd go in low, kind of like Julio Caesar Chavez, because Tyson would get in and he'd do his bobbing and weaving, but Davis was using angles and he kind of dive in and tuck his head almost in his hip or in his belly and stay low down and kind of look for punches. And then on breaks he'd catch him and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see how he broke their strategy. And I was thinking a lot about I don't know if you guys had seen Bernard Hopkins and Oscar De La Hoya when they had fought. And Bernard, it was crazy because Bernard was on Garcia's side, but Bernard and De La Hoya fought, and he caught him the same way with that liver shot down low. And a lot of people are like, hey, the same thing as Garcia, like it didn't look like it hit that hard. Why didn't you get up and keep fighting? And I haven't been, hit in a fight like that, of that kind of getting hit hard with the disbursement of the boxing glove and everything like that. I saw it. Garcia said I couldn't get up, but as soon as the 10 count hit, he got up like 2 seconds later. So I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I got hit in the liver one time by who was it? Joe at the gym, and it was just like it wasn't hard, but it was definitely like, whoa, that's different.
I know
Like it was like, I don't know.
those
Yeah.
nerves on the liver are insane, because I've just had them just from tumors being on there, and they go in and try to do surgery and they hit a nerve and you're half awake and you feel it. It's insane. I just kind of feel like, I know there was an argument of the glove is bigger, so then it's going to disperse more and cause more in the liver. But for me, it's like, damn, if you're getting kicked, I can't imagine getting kicked in the liver. That's
Oh
just,
my gosh.
oof.
Yeah.
That's a reason to go down and not come up. But to get punched with I don't understand it. I don't know.
I think Tim maybe when Tim was fighting, he got hit in the liver one fight. I think maybe on the
That's right.
Ultimate Fighter. I'm
Man,
pretty sure he got dropped to the liver.
that one too, he had to cut weight like at the last minute. I wonder if that went into too. People have been talking about the weight cut for Garcia. And then if you get hit there and your body's just already exhausted,
Yeah.
the liver isn't just gonna, it's a little
But
bit more sensitive.
that's what Connor said. Connor was saying that he wants to see it again, but with a no rehydration clause or something like that.
That was smart to get to, so they can get money from the next fight. I don't know. Garcia didn't really. I like Julio Caesar Chavez. Said I don't want anything to do with Garcia anymore. I don't want to watch him. Man, those guys are. I mean, a guy like those back then. Oh my gosh, that guy fought so many wars. I'll go through and watch him every now and then. After that, I spent too more time than I should have going through old Julio Caesar Chavez fights. Man, those guys were fighting so often, and they're betrayed. Watching him and Roger Mayweather, those fights are insane.
Garcia took some time off too for some like mental stuff as well, right? Like a year ago.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe a year or two ago, he took like he walked away for a little bit for like mental illness or something.
Wow. And these guys, Mayweather and Davis, they figured something out. I know a lot of it's the way they train real hard. I love watching their training break. They're seeing some of the things Davis was doing in his training routine. It looked like a lot of stuff that Levi's doing. He was doing a lot of the same movements and functional training. He was really working on the hips and the twisting motions and things, the lateral movements and things like that. And it's interesting how chill he stays when he trains too. He's got like that stoicism about him when he trains. It's awesome, I think.
Yeah, I like him a lot. And I think that goes into the fight as well. Is like his heart, because he's so calm, just from a personality, he's going to be calmer, which is going to make his heart rate lower, which is going to make his cardio better. Like all that stuff plays into it as well.
I was watching him in the corners, like he was recovering faster, and I think now I'm thinking that's probably a reason why.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
for
good.
Sure.
Well, we hit 45 minutes. Anybody?
Nice, that's fire. I thought that was a good one.
I think we're working on get some guests in here, but I think we got some good stuff in it. Man, if anything, man, I really appreciated being able to to get out some of that stuff and get some feedback from you guys on here. So if anybody has any feedback, we'd love to hear from you. We're not saying like, hey, we don't ever want to hear from anybody, but it's you know, we'd love to get more. If you guys are into it at all, subscribe and like. And I think that's all, right? Sorry, sometimes I tap in for a minute and then I tap out and I'm not all there.
You're good.
Awesome. Well, we'll be praying for you too, Kyle, out
Hey,
here in
thank you.
Oregon, and then all the guests or all the viewers too. If you're religious, send a little prayer Kyle's way.
Much appreciated. And Levi and Dana too. Levi, man, up in Oregon, man. Damn it. Oh, I know what it's like up there. Much love to my family in Oregon. I love you guys so much. If anybody happens to be hearing, but oh man, it was rough for me to live up there. So I can only imagine. This is definitely a time where you're out there under the sword right now through a trial. I think, man. So much respect to see how you're handling it, brother.
I appreciate it. I think too, it's tough when I mean, I lived in Florida for the last not 16 years, but since I was 16, and then also lived in Arizona. It was like the most sun you're gonna get in America, and then you go to the place with the least amount of sun. It's not great. I think maybe once you're used to it, then you feel it even more.
Yes, Dana will tell you, right? It would be a hard move back to Chicago, huh?
Oh, it would, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it's tough, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. Have the best week ever.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.